The first thing you hear is the ticking clock, sharp and impatient, like it's daring you to leave. I didn't. I never do. Waiting rooms are never boring for me, and if you stay with me until the end of this story, you'll understand why. Before we begin, if you love emotional, slow-burn Sapphic romance stories that feel real and stay with you long after the screen fades to black, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Your support keeps these stories alive. Now, let me tell you what happened the day a waiting room changed my life. I used to arrive at the hospital at least 40 minutes early, every single Thursday. Not because I liked hospitals, or because I was anxious about my appointment, but because the waiting room felt like neutral ground. A place where no one expected anything from me. I would sit by the window, my bag on my lap, pretending to read while actually watching people. The elderly couple holding hands. The nervous parents whispering to their child. The overworked nurses rushing past with tired eyes and kind smiles. It felt human. Messy. Honest. And that's where I first saw her. She didn't rush. That was the first thing that caught my attention. In a building full of urgency, she moved with calm certainty, like time respected her. She wore a white coat, slightly wrinkled at the sleeves, and her dark hair was tied back loosely, strands escaping as if they had a mind of their own. When she looked up from the file in her hands and smiled at the waiting room, it wasn't a professional smile. It was warm. Real. The kind that makes you feel seen even when it isn't meant for you. Her name, I would later learn, was Dr. Eliza Hart. The first time she called my name, my heart did something unfamiliar. Not panic. Not fear. Something softer. Curious. She pronounced my name carefully, like it mattered. Inside her office, the walls were lined with books and a small plant that clearly struggled to survive. She noticed me looking at it and laughed quietly, admitting she forgot to water it more often than she should. That small confession broke the invisible wall between doctor and patient. We talked about my health, yes, but also about work, about how waiting rooms felt like little worlds of their own. When I joked that waiting rooms were never boring for me, her eyebrows lifted in interest. Over the next few weeks, our conversations grew longer. Not unprofessional, but personal in the way two people slowly recognize something familiar in each other. She remembered details. Asked about my job. Noticed when I cut my hair. I noticed the way she rubbed her temple when she was tired, the way her voice softened when she talked about patients she worried about. And I started arriving even earlier, just to sit in that chair by the window, wondering if today would be the day I finally admitted to myself that I was falling for my doctor. The challenge wasn't just the obvious boundaries. It was fear. I had loved before, quietly, carefully, always afraid of wanting too much. She existed in a world of rules, ethics, and responsibilities. I told myself it was just admiration. Just a harmless crush. But then one Thursday, I arrived early as usual and saw her sitting in the waiting room instead of her office, her coat folded beside her. She looked small. Tired in a way that went beyond a long shift. She smiled when she saw me, but it didn't reach her eyes. She told me my appointment was delayed, and for the first time, she asked if I minded keeping her company while she waited. We talked, really talked. About loneliness. About how caring for everyone else sometimes leaves you empty. About how she loved her job but hated how invisible it made her feel as a person. In that waiting room, surrounded by strangers, something fragile and honest formed between us. The line was crossed not with a touch, but with truth. She admitted she looked forward to Thursdays more than she should. I admitted waiting rooms were only interesting because of her. Silence followed, heavy and terrifying. Then she stood up, professional walls snapping back into place, apologizing, reminding both of us of reality. My next appointment was reassigned. Just like that, she was gone. Weeks passed. The waiting room felt dull, colorless. I realized it was never the room that fascinated me. It was connection. And I missed her more than I expected. Then one evening, I ran into her outside the hospital, no white coat, no title between us. Just Eliza. She told me she had transferred departments, made sure there was no conflict, no imbalance. She did it not out of hope, but out of respect. We started slowly. Coffee that lasted hours. Conversations that felt like exhaling after holding your breath for years. She wasn't just a doctor. She was a woman who loved old movies, who feared disappointing people, who wanted to be chosen for who she was, not what she did. The challenges didn't disappear. There were moments of doubt, moments where past wounds surfaced, moments where we wondered if timing had been kinder to everyone else but us. But we chose honesty, every time. Love didn't arrive dramatically. It settled. It grew in quiet gestures, in shared silences, in knowing glances across crowded rooms. One day, sitting together in that same waiting room for someone else's appointment, she squeezed my hand and whispered that waiting rooms no longer scared her. They reminded her that life pauses sometimes so we can notice what truly matters. This story isn't just about unexpected love. It's about patience. About respecting boundaries. About choosing connection over fear. Sometimes the places we think are temporary, boring, or meaningless become the starting point of everything. So if you're in a waiting room of your own right now, in life or in love, don't rush. Stay. Observe. Trust that something beautiful might be quietly finding its way to you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who believes in slow, meaningful love. Your support helps more stories like this find their way home.